Hi, this is Roman, and today I'm going to show how to use Jamboard for modeling and assessment for the topic of partitioning a line segment. So first off, if you've never used Jamboard, it's on every Google account. You want to click the apps icon right next to your Gmail account. And if you go down, you'll see the Jamboard icon, and if you click on it, you'll have your digital whiteboard. So again, I'm using partitioning a segment. If you're brand new to this, just click plus and you will create a brand new whiteboard, which you could name. And then if you'd like to share it with students, you would just click share and you could pick how you want to restrict the access to this document. For our purposes, I opened it up to anyone on the internet so no one would have trouble reaching it. So for partitioning a line segment, this is really nice because you could model it to students in real time. And you could also go over the graphic method, which is very popular among students and teachers. If you haven't seen the graphic method before, I'm going to model it right now. So on Jamboard, you have the option for a graph paper. So if you click set background, you can click the graph paper option, and that's going to come in the background. So again, it's really popular for students to use the graphic method for questions that don't provide a graph. And that would involve them on the Regents exam ripping out that piece of graph paper in the back and creating a graph by themselves. I'm using my iPad to model as it shows on the computer screen in real time here. So my first step would be to create a graph. So I'm creating my y-axis. I'm going to do the same thing for my x-axis. And then I'm going to plot my points here. So I'm plotting k, which is 5, -4. Labeling that k. And then I'm going to plot L, which is 5, 1. And as my last step, I'm just going to connect this line. So for the graphic method, I would suggest the first step would be just to create a right triangle for those 2 points, like so. And from here, students could choose whether to use the change in X or change in Y to partition this segment into a ratio of 3:2. So let's show one example. Let's say we wanted to do the change in X. So for the change in X, we have from -5 to 5, which would be 10, and it's helpful to show these arrows to show that change in X is going to be moving from left to right. And then we would tell students that if we're looking to partition a segment 3:2, that would mean we're looking for the point that's 3/5 of the way from K to L. So at this point, just tell students to multiply 3/5 of the way of the change in X, or 10. And students like entering this in the calculator for the solution right away. And we see we get 6 units. Also, some students don't like figuring out the change in X by looking at -5 to 5 or subtracting. So you can model that they could just count like so: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They might like to do that as well. So this 6 here just symbolizes how many units we're going to go. I'll use a different color here. Starting at K in the horizontal direction, and we just want to tell students to go towards the line. So in this case, from K to L. So I'm moving left or right towards L, so I would just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units, and then just go towards the line for the solution. In this case, it's 1, 1. You could also model for them how to do this with the change in Y. Again, they only have to do it once to get to the solution, but to verify the answer, if we look at our change in Y, from -4 to 1, that's 5 units. So if we're looking for 3/5 of the way, and our change in Y is 5 units, that divides out and we get 3. So in this case, and I'll use yellow in this case. So in this case, I start at K, and for Y specifically, we want to remember that Y is going up or down. So for y, we're just going to go up 3 units, 1, 2, 3 from k, and again, just go towards the line, towards L's direction, and that again gives us the answer 1, 1, 1, negative 1, excuse me, in this case. So that's a way you could use Jamboard to model for your students. For assessment purposes, what you could do is if you set up this question, and I'm going to set it up just like so in slide 2 here. So if this was the question, and I would ask to remove the background for students because they have to make that decision whether you're doing it algebraically or graphically. Copy the link and go to your Google Classroom. And when you create an assignment, a lot of teachers haven't noticed that for Jamboards, you could actually provide a copy for each student for Jamboard, just like any other Google Doc. So that allows each student to write individually on their own Jamboard, and then you could take a look at what they're doing in real time and give them feedback. Or if it's a summative assessment, you could take a look after the fact that they're done and give them feedback. Different methods for feedback here. You could add a sticky note for feedback for students. You could also utilize using the pen to highlight anything you want to highlight and write a note. And another option that you could do is click Add Image, and you could drag and drop a screenshot of the solution for the students to reference. What you could also do is share students' work with other students for peer feedback or to do an error analysis question without revealing the student's identity. So this is how you would use Google's Jamboard for partitioning a line segment to model and for assessment for this topic.